Hi everyone, and welcome back to Rachel's Enchanting Cakes. For today's tutorial we're going to be making this really effective but very simple bird box cake topper. It's not as difficult as you may think. We just need to use a high quality modelling paste. As always, everything you need to know in great detail. Those birds have been handmade. You can use a cocktail stick for the wood effect if you don't have an impression mat, so you don't need an awful lot of equipment for this either. Super cute, it's really small, absolutely beautiful. I'm going to guide you through everything. Let's make a start. So today I am using some Saracino modelling paste, and all I've done in it on a small piece of baking paper using a ruler is draw out a rough shape of a birdhouse. You do not need a template for this, just use a pencil and a ruler. Okay, so first of all you want to roll your Saracino modelling paste in between 5mm spacers. Now the Saracino works beautifully once you've kneaded it. It will go lovely and soft for a short period of time to allow you to roll it out. Roll it out so it's the same size as your template. I then use one of these wood impression embossing mats. I simply place this directly over the top and apply some pressure with a rolling pin. Don't worry if you don't have one of these mats and you only have a limited amount of equipment. You can create the same effect. It will take a bit longer obviously, but it's just as simple using a cocktail stick. Using a ruler and a very sharp knife, simply start cutting around your bird box template. Now because you've used Saracino modelling paste or any other high quality modelling paste, first of all it won't distort whilst you're cutting it, and because of the pressure I'm adding to the top, again, because I've used a high quality modelling paste, it doesn't affect the wood grain. Finally, I use a piping nozzle to cut the circle in the centre of the actual birdhouse. Then repeat that process, but do not add a circle to the back piece. For the sides of the bird box, again I keep the process very simple, so I've just repeated what we did with the wood grain on the Saracino modelling paste, and then I use the same template, but this time it's just for the side. Once I have a rough idea on how tall it actually needs to be by using this template, I then measure it so it's 4 centimeters deep, and I simply cut away the excess Saracino modelling paste. You want to make 2 of these before we glue it all together and then leave it to set overnight. Okay, so this part can be a little bit fiddly. This modelling paste is still relatively soft, and this is when you want to stick it together, but it will hold its shape. So as you can see, these 2 pieces have been placed on the base piece, or should I say the front, it's just upside down. And then apply the back, but in order for this to set and to prevent it from collapsing, I don't want weight coming from the front or the back. So once you have stuck them on, as you will see from this footage, and then as I mentioned it can be a little bit fiddly, you then want to place it upright, make sure it's all lovely and neat, and this is how we are going to leave it to set. So all of that is still actually soft. It needs to be left for a good 24 hours. Now if you've got an oven where you can leave the oven light on, that will really help speed up the setting process. But this is what you're aiming to achieve once it is completely set and solid. The birds are very similar to petal shapes. You use very simple shapes in cake decorating and you keep things as simple as possible. So here I've created my bluebird as a template, and I'm going to try and replicate that now with my pink bird. Obviously, use whatever colours you want. Using a ball tool, I then add an indentation for each of the eyes. Once this has been completed, we then want to move on to the simple wings. Now again, we're using very simple shapes. It's a bit more like a petal shape, but it's sharper at one end and then pushed down. I use a cocktail stick in order to get the fur-like effect directly onto this wing before gluing both of them directly to the bird box. Once they are on the bird box, I then simply add 2 black balls for each eye, and finally, using a very small piece of yellow fondant this time, I simply shape them in my hands and place them on as their beaks. Now if you have a bow mould, you can always add a bow to the pink bird, but it's not essential. So now I want to show you how to add the flowers. You want to roll a very thin sausage shape. Mine's a very faint light brown, and I just randomly place this in different places all over the bird box before adding some flowers. Okay, so for the flowers, I'm using these very small plunger cutters, and then you simply take your bird box. You'll be able to see me handle it here because it's completely set, and then you just place it directly onto that little brown vine that we have just added, and just repeat this until you've added all of the flowers that you want to add. Okay then, so this is what it should be looking like up to now. Super easy, don't you think? Well, the roof is just as easy. So you want to take some Saracino modelling paste. Again, colour this any colour you want. I've chosen a lovely pastel blue. Now you'll notice I'm using my spacers again. These spacers are a fantastic investment if you don't already have them, because it makes everything on your cakes and your cake decorations look lovely and uniform. So I start by rolling this out. Now I want mine to overlap on either side. However, I don't want it any wider than 4 centimeters because I want it to be the same depth as the bird box. If you wanted yours to overlap on the front and the back, you obviously want to make it just that little bit larger, but this worked beautifully for mine. As you can see, the Saracino just cuts beautifully, but it doesn't distort the shape either. So once you have cut this down, you then simply want to take the bird box, place some edible glue directly on the top of the bird box. I do a little test just to make sure that this is okay first. When you have the correct size, simply drape it over the top, stick it down, and just allow it to set. It really is as simple and as easy as that. If you want to add a bow to the front, perfect. Happy baking, guys. I really do hope I've helped you again today, and I'll be back soon with more new, completely free content.